child star as a quote-unquote true story. So it's appeared quite a bit.
Sounds like it.
Now, here's another story. A little bit gross, but also, to my mind, funny. And it's called The Mexican Pet.
Gee, what is it?
Okay. Well, this lady is vacationing down in Mexico.
Of course.
And she sees a dog that she's never seen before, never seen the breed, but it wins over her heart. And so for the rest of her vacation, she feeds it, she shares her food with it, she bathes it every day, she puts it in outfits. And so she gets home, and the dog is misbehaving. It's attacking the other animals in her house. She doesn't know what to do. And so she takes it to the vet. And the vet takes one look at it and says, "Lady, this isn't a dog. This is a Mexican sewer rat." Now, a lot of times when they tell the story, the place where they find the rat changes. Sometimes it'll be Haiti. Sometimes it'll be Sumatra, Belgium, Hong Kong, Pakistan, Guatemala, Australia, Korea, China. But it's almost always a rat or some other big rodent of some kind. And yeah.
I mean, I know something that looks a little bit like a dog that's called a maned wolf.
Yes, that's not what these people are supposedly finding. They're finding rats. These
rats.
Yeah. Like a capybara. Yeah, rodents of unusual size, basically. And so, yeah, that's the story. There's multiple versions of it, and it does get passed around. It was originally heard in at least 1983, although there is some reason to believe that it might have started before that, and that this legend gets bigger the more that immigration stories are in the news. So it's interesting that from 2016 to 2020, every year saw multiple repetitions of this story getting emailed to people. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
I don't know. I think I'd be able to tell a difference between a dog and a giant rat.
Most people would, you would think.
Right. But the point of the story is that basically...
No.
Basically, if you find something in a foreign country, leave it there. Don't care how cute the dog is. And, people have tried to track these down. And so, one guy in Florida, a reporter, read one of these stories, and so he began to trying to track it down. Well, he originally went to, the people in the area. And the people in the area were like, "No, we didn't see this. We don't know anything about it. We heard it on the radio." So then he'll go and talk to the people on the radio, and they're like, "No, it came through our news desk. Talk to the police. Maybe they can help you." Well, the police don't know anything. Long story short, turns out it's always just this legend getting passed around again. Never happened. So there's no truth to the Mexican pet. Although, if any of our listeners have heard any of these stories as true, please feel free to share that with us.
Yeah.
Nothing would make me happier on our Podiversary than someone to go, "No, my mom found a rat in Guatemala and brought it back, and we thought it was a dog for 3 days." Tell me, if that's the truth, I want to know.
No, I'm not calling you stupid. If your family member or someone you know found one and or kept it as a pet dog, let me know. I'm
Now, the last one.
Oh, it's the last one already?
Yeah, we're already at the last one.
Sad.
The last one. Actually, I don't think we've had a word from our sponsors, so we should probably...
Not at all. Yes, we absolutely should.
We probably should take a minute, do that before we finish this up. So, here, take it away, sponsors. Okay, I feel sponsored.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the last one is called The Cactus Attactus.
The cactus attactus.
I like that. Is this the best one? Did you say the best one for last?
In some ways,
Kind of the grossest one, actually. This one bothers me.
Really?
So I'm going to tell it as you would tell the urban legend first, and then we'll cover the variations on it.
Okay.
An Australian guy comes to the States for several days, check out the States. As part of his trip, he goes down to Mexico.
Oh, of course it's Mexico.
Of course it is.
Well, while he goes down to Mexico, he sees this cactus that's for sale in this shop, and he really thinks it's interesting. So
cactus.
He buys it. He brings it back to Australia with him, and he has to pay $800 to get it on the plane through customs, but he does it because he's so. And then when it gets to Australia, they have to keep it for a week in quarantine, and that's another $800. But he pays it because he really likes his cactus, and so he brings it home and he buries it. And then
he plants it. He doesn't bury it.
Oh, sorry, you're right. He plants the cactus, and he's watering his yard one day. And he sprays some water on the cactus. He knows he doesn't need it. It doesn't really need it, but he figures while he's out there, might as well give it some. And as soon as the water hits the cactus sort of shimmies. And he's like, that's odd. And so he sprays with water again, and the cactus vibrates. And he's like, okay. So then he calls the local university. And he's going, okay, look, I brought this cactus from America and...
Or Mexico?
Mexico.
Or from Mexico, but I brought it home for my trip to the States. And now I'm watering it, and every time I'm watering it, it vibrates. And the guy's like, okay, get away from it. Go out front. I'm going to call the police. And yeah, you've got problems. And so... the guy goes in front of the house, and then the police go in the backyard, and along with the police are guys in hazmat suits carrying flamethrowers. And so they go into his backyard.
I feel bad as a neighbor. I'd just be like, what? Jailed! People in hazmat suits in the neighbor's house. What's going on?
And so they burn the cactus to the ground, right? And the guy's freaking out. What's going on? Why'd you burn my cactus? And so one of the guys in the hazmat suit says, come with me. And he picks up a piece of the cactus and he flips it over so the guy can see it's full of spiders. Full of tarantulas. And he's like, this was about to hatch and you would have had thousands of these throughout your yard.
That's kind of gross.
Now, the story, there's lots of variations on the story. It's been told everywhere. Germany, Scandinavia, Australia, Great Britain, Canada, and the U.S. all have versions of this story. It's interesting to note that the cactuses or the yuccas almost always come from Central America and Mexico. And sometimes it'll be like, a woman is calling in, hey, my cactus is vibrating, and they tell her, leave the house now. And then she does right before the cactus explodes, and all these baby spiders go everywhere, raining through her house. And it takes her months to have the place fumigated and all the spiders killed.
Good luck finding your aunt to live with her for a little while.
Right?
But here's the thing. It's impossible. This has never been true. Never will be true. One, female tarantulas really don't leave the dirt. They live in burrows underground. And any sort of copulation that happens tends to happen underground. Also, even if they decided that they were going to do this and they wouldn't do it in the plant.
They do it on the plant.
Exactly. And you'd be able to see the egg sacs.
You'd just be like, oh, I'm not buying that.
So, It doesn't. And occasionally, some of the stories, it'll be scorpions instead of spiders. And because people think, well, scorpions can do that.
They can. Doesn't mean they want to.
Yeah, but scorpions, it would be 3 or 4. And you'd see, like, the hole that they made to get in. And, like, you'd notice the scorpion coming in and out because they do hunt. And then
they need food,
and then it'd be like 4 or 6 or 8 scorpions, not enough to blow the thing up. It's just
and
impossible.
And it wouldn't vibrate when you watered the plant. Just no, they're just like, what the?
It's never happened. It's never happened. Never happened. But I like it because it's sort of gross. It's got that sort of scary, oh no, I was almost attacked by spiders vibe to it, but...
Oh, another thing about bugs, when I was in summer school, there was a centipede in class.
Okay.
It was my 3rd hour. It was my lunch class. People squished it during lunch. It was disgusting. Sorry, continue.
Anyway, so... That's the last story, and the one thing I want to stress is most urban legends aren't true. Most urban legends might have a grain of truth somewhere, but even then, it's questionable. Like the killer in the Backseat. While it did happen, it happened in 2013, and it didn't bear any relation to the story for the most part, and the story had been going on for 20 or 30 years prior to that happening. So that is not the event that kicked off the story.
Right.
And so most of these, if they're based on true events, they're based on true events that are...
just men being...
Okay, the movie Killer Legends, for example, it covers 3 urban legends, and one of the ones it covers is the killer in the house, right? The babysitter and the guy upstairs is what that urban legend is called. It's basically, lady is babysitting, and she gets a call, have you checked on the children? And she's like, yes, I have.
Can we check on them again?
And... so she hangs up. The guy calls back. You haven't checked on the children. And so she calls the cops. Someone's pranking me, blah, blah. I don't know, what's going on. And they're like, okay, we're going to tap the phone. Next time he calls, just try to keep him talking. And so he calls back. You haven't checked on the children. You need to come upstairs and check on the children. And she's freaking out. Why do you want me to check on the children? Blah, blah, blah. Well... at that point, finally the guy scares her enough. She hangs up, and at that point the phone rings again. She picks it up, thinking it's him. Don't call me, and it's the police going, "Ma'am, you need to leave. That call's coming from inside the house." And she looks up. Sure enough, this strange guy is coming out of the children's room, covered in blood. She freaks out, screams, runs away.
No, I hope the children are okay. Probably not, but
no. The story is always he's murdered the kids. Well. It's based off of a true event. It's based off of a true event, but here's the event it was based off of. A guy in, I want to say Cape Girardeau, but it could be someplace else. But a small town in Missouri killed 2 babysitters. Snuck in, killed them while they were babysitting. Didn't mess with the kids, if I remember the story correctly, but kills 2 babysitters in a pretty violent way. That's it. That's what the story, the kernel of truth that led to the story is.
I'm pretty blasé about murdered babysitters. That's all I'm saying.
I'm not saying it's not a horrific event. I'm saying that the kernel of truth is that a guy murdered a babysitter.
Gotcha.
All of the surrounding, he called from inside the house, and which doesn't make any sense because
why?
this is set in like the 1980s or something, well before cell phones. So it's not like the guy can call the house phone with his cell phone.